We've got pretty good records of global mean temperature going back more than a century now. And these show a general increase of about 1 degree over the industrial period. But there are fluctuations in the rate of warming. And in recent years, in the first part of the 21st century, there was a slowdown in the warming. The global temperatures were still at or at near record levels, but the warming did slow down until recently. What we've seen in the last few years is a whole string of record years in the last few years. That means that the rate of warming has increased again. And so when we take, for example, the last decade or the last 15 years, then the rate of warming has gone back up to the values that we saw a few decades ago. When we look back in time at periods where global warming temporarily slowed, then we often see changes in the Pacific Ocean, in fact. And that's what happened, we think, in the recent case. Over the last decade or so, from the start of the 21st century, the Pacific was in a cool phase of what we call the Pacific decadal oscillation. As the name implies, this is something that varies from decade to decade, perhaps even longer timescales. And the Pacific is an enormous source of heat. So when the Pacific goes into its cooler phase, it's subducting heat below the surface, hiding it from the global warming statistics, if you like. And so we see a temporary slowdown. In the last few years, we've seen some very warm years in the Pacific, and we can now see that this Pacific decadal oscillation has flipped into positive phase in recent years at least, and that means that the rate of global warming has resumed.